What is up guys, Andy Forest Runner here, and today I'm giving you guys my first impressions of the New Balance Rebel V2. So there we go, a moderate 9-mile run done and dusted for the first impressions of the New Balance Fuelcell REBEL V2. This has been a very highly requested shoe on the channel. Initially it didn't launch in my size, but after a while they did launch in my size, and I'm excited to say that the hype is real. I can't wait to dive in to my first impressions of this shoe. But as always with these first impressions videos, we'll go into the tech first and give you an all-round perspective of the shoe. So if you're excited for today's video guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and we'll start with the tech. So let's start off by saying I went true to size, which is a UK 13.5 in a New Balance shoe. And we have a 26mm stack height in the heel, 20mm stack height in the forefoot, meaning we have a 6mm heel to toe drop. And in my UK size 13.5, this shoe comes in at a lightweight 260 grams or just 9.2 ounces. So we'll work our way from the heel counter area, cover the ankle collar, tongue, lacing, upper, we'll talk about the midsole, and then we will move on to the outsole. So one of the reasons why this shoe is so lightweight, it is made by the synthetic mesh upper, and that pretty much covers the majority of the upper, bar a few extra bits and pieces here and there, but on the whole I can see right through the upper. It is a super lightweight but comfortable, very comfortable upper. So those extra bits and pieces that we're talking about are mainly in and around the heel counter area, and we'll start by saying that I can just about see through this synthetic mesh upper, which is what it's described as on the New Balance website. There's a few little extra bits and pieces of material in there to give a bit more stability and shape to the heel counter area. Having said that, it's still a relatively flexible heel counter, but not too flexible. The extra material does provide enough shape and comfort for your ankle to slot in and feel nice and comfortable. And what I really like about this shoe is the cutout here. It's quite a deep groove. Now this does come up quite high at the back of the Achilles, but doesn't rub at all, but it does give that nice secure fit. But I have in the past had New Balance shoes where the cutout doesn't go low enough, and I've had ankle rubbing issues, mainly in the Fuelcell Propel V1 and then very slightly and occasionally in the Prism. So far so good with this shoe. This is cut well below my ankle bone, so my foot feels great. And we've got that bumper padding which runs around the top here. It stems all the way down to the bottom pretty much of the heel counter, bar a tiny bit at the bottom, but around the sides here we've got about 1 centimetre deep before it just turns into this synthetic mesh upper. But it's enough there to give you a nice secure locked in feeling. As for the tongue, it's a lovely offset tongue. So I don't know if you can see, the tongue's not very long, but it's a feature that I'm really enjoying. I'm seeing in quite a lot of shoes these days. We had it in the Puma and Nike do a lot of it, where the tongue slightly sits offset so it wraps nicely around the top of your ankle. Really, really liking that. It is a paper thin tongue, and it's nice and stretchy material, and there's a little bit more padding as you go further down to cover the top of the foot, but on the whole it is very, very thin. That's all good. The lacing system is a bit of a strange one, lots of bits and pieces going on here, a bit more security I should say around the eyelets here, a bit of an overlay just to give a bit of extra oomph when you're trying to tie them tight so the eyelets don't fray or anything. But further on down we have standard eyelet chain, then we've got another eyelet, a random eyelet here. It's very odd, but it works. I got such a secure lockdown feeling. They do make a point on the website that they have this secure lockdown feeling, and I've got to be honest with you, it works. If I look at it, it's it's not standard in any way, shape or form, but it works, it does the job, and the laces are perfect length. So really, really happy with how all of that works. And then, as I said, we have this synthetic mesh upper which runs all the way around the shoe. It looks like we've got two different styles. Obviously we've got the lighter blue, we've got the darker blue. I don't know if it's double layer or if it's just the layers not knitted together, who knows, I don't know, but either way it is super thin. I can see right through both of them, so I'm going to go single layer, and it's just the dark blue is attached to the light blue with a very minimal New Balance logo there and there. It really, there's not a lot to it. It's fantastic upper, lovely and breathable, worked really well for me. Then we move on to my favourite part, which is the fuel cell midsole. Fuel cell midsole has been one of my favourite things about recent New Balance shoes. It's absolutely incredible, and this shoe, it is no different. It is super soft, possibly the softest New Balance shoe I've tried, bar the TC, which is also super soft, and we'll come on to a bit of a comparison with that in my first impression shortly. But there's enough foam in here to give you that lovely soft bounce, but not too much to make it too much of an unstable ride. I think on the wrong feet it maybe could be because it's so soft, but it's not a massive stack, therefore I kind of felt secure at all times, if that makes sense. Just a super comfy cushioned ride. And then we have this endurance New Balance rubber on the outsole, covering the majority of the shoe at the top here. A bit of exposed midsole in the bottom here, a bit of fuel cell, and then a bit more endurance rubber on the high wearing areas. And that is it for the tech. So on to my first impressions. How did I find this shoe? Well, the hype is real. I've got to be honest with you. You guys have recommended this so much and told me I need to try it, and I'm so glad I have. A bit late to the party, but it's an absolute delight of a shoe. There's a few comparisons that I'm going to throw out there shortly, but let me start off by saying this is a real, if you can get your hands on it, get it type of shoe. I'm really impressed. Let me just address one thing before I forget: sizing. So I went true to size. Now my UK size 13.5. I'm normally a 13, but as I said in many videos, Hoka, New Balance, Adidas, when it goes 12, it goes to 12.5, 13.5, 14.5, so on and so forth. Now a few people told me to size up by a half. A few people have even said that in the past couple of days, and I agree with them. I think if you are in the normal size range, you should size up half because it is quite short. My toes were pretty much at the end, so there was a couple of occasions when I was going downhill and my toes were bumping at the end, and there was a slight bit of discomfort, which is a shame, but I can't afford to go up a full size. I've been there, I've done it with a New Balance shoe, and my feet just swim in the shoe, so I'm gonna stick with the 13.5 and just have them a little bit snug. So word of warning in terms of sizing: if you can go up half a size, do. Width wise is fine, length wise just comes up a touch short. In terms of comparisons, how do I feel this shoe? Where do I feel like it's just such a soft and comfy ride? It's got a little bit of Nova Blast and it's got a little bit of TC. So the TC is kind of a bit of an expected comparison. I never owned the Rebel V1, so I can't compare those two. But the TC, it feels very soft, just like the TC. But of course with the TC you had the plate, so you've got a lot more propulsion in that shoe. Now, a lot of people said about instability in the TC. I get that, I can understand that. This has a lot less stack height than the TC, or not a lot less, but a bit less stack height, and I've got to be honest with you, I think they've nailed it with the volume of fuel cell in this midsole. And then the Nova Blast also comes up as a bit of a comparison, although I'm going to say I think this might be slightly softer than the Nova Blast. It was such a soft and squidgy shoe, but both gave me a very familiar feeling when I was running them, which is why I loved this so much. And obviously I can't wait to get my hands on the Nova Blast V2, but this is another great sort of shoe that fits into that that category of, in my opinion, completely the other end of the spectrum in terms of weight, but daily trainer. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, a lot of people have already told me you love this for speed stuff and things, but I've got to be honest, I took it on a moderate run. I knew I wouldn't want to take this on an easy run. The first run had to be moderate, put my foot down, 6:37 per mile, and it absolutely shone like a diamond. So for me, it's going to get a bit of speed work, but it's also going to get a lot of daily use as well. I can already envisage this taking over the Hoka One Mach 4 in my daily trainer lineup. Got to get that to 200 miles, but once I've done that, I think this is going to start to take precedence. So to be honest with you, overall, Really impressed. Bar the sizing, everything about this shoe worked. The lockdown was great, the comfort was great, the midsole was fantastic, and I think it's going to last a long time. I think if anything's going to go in this shoe in terms of durability, it's going to be the midsole foam compressing, because I have a feeling this rubber outsole is going to last a long time. The upper feels good, nice and sturdy. The lockdown I'm getting is great. So I think the first thing that will go is the midsole, and I think it would be great to hear from people as to how many miles you've put in the shoe already and how you're feeling with it. I'm sure there's a fair few of you that got well over 100 miles in it by now. So again, jump in the comments, let me know how it's holding up for you. So in terms of how I'm going to be using it moving forward and more testing, we're going to be doing a speed test with this shoe. And yes, we're certainly going to be doing a long run test, so stay tuned for that feedback. Other than that, this is going to get a lot of miles. Only one run in, but super excited to test it further. So those are kind of my first impressions. Early, raw, but exciting. Lots of potential with this shoe. I think it's going to get a lot of miles if we can get over the discomfort of it being a touch too short. I've just got to remember not to take it on too many undulations. But that's it for my thoughts. Let me know, because I know this shoe has been out for well over a month now, in the comments below how you're getting on with the Rebel V2. Let me know in the comments how it's holding up, as I said, in terms of mileage, and where your sweet spot is with this shoe. What do you love to do it? Is it a speedwork shoe? Is it a daily shoe? Let me know in the comments below, and let's get that discussion going. What an exciting shoe. Delighted to bring this one to the channel, into my shoe rotation. We're going to have a fun summer in this one. If you enjoyed today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Until then.